Hey, this is Karim, and you're listening to Strictly Between Us, radiotimes.com's Strictly Come Dancing podcast.
Hello and welcome to Strictly Between Us, the Strictly Come Dancing podcast powered by radiotimes.com. We will be dissecting the drama from the dance floor as we plunge headfirst into the final. We're going to be looking at the semi-final this week and the drama that happened there. It was quite an interesting one. I'm radiotimes.com's entertainment correspondent Kimberley. My usual co-host Emma Powell has now left the company, the traitor that she is. But I'm joined by Radio Times Magazine's commissioning editor Frances Taylor. How are you doing this morning, Frances?
I'm very well, thank you. Thanks for asking.
It was a tense semi-final which straddled both 40s and fairly low scores. But after getting his body back from holiday, time was up for Chris Ramsey, who was booted out the competition. Frances, did the right person go?
Absolutely. There was no way that anyone else could have gone this week and you'd have gone, oh, that's fair enough. Me and Emma were talking about this last week and thinking about who was going to be in the bottom two. And it's just, if it was anyone other than Chris, it would have been a bit criminal. I was a bit worried that it would be someone like, Karim and Kelvin in the bottom two. One of them would have to go. But I think we can all safely say that out of all the celebrities that were left, Emma, Kelvin and Karim are the best three to make it to the final.
I mean, I feel really sorry for Chris because I feel like for me, he is my winner because he's what Strictly's all about. He's about a journey. He's gone on a journey because he was crap to start with, and I'm sure he'd admit that himself. And he was now like really entertaining to watch and to see grow. So it's kind of a shame that, I mean, I understand why he went, but it's a shame that it's happened now.
Yeah, it's kind of like people's champion kind of thing, isn't it? And it's really good seeing those people, a bit like Alex Scott as well, who the first couple of weeks, really shaky. They get better and better as the weeks go on. And I think Emma's done a bit of that, but Kelvin and Karim, I mean, they were both so phenomenal week one that we're just going, yeah, they're still great. It's still great.
It's a shocking lineup, I think, for the final because it's not people I would have. I mean, obviously Kelvin Karim, but I wouldn't have picked Emma necessarily over people like Michelle and Saffron, who were knocked out far earlier, really.
Exactly, and even when the lineup was very first announced, people like Catherine Tilsley were being tipped to kind of do really well. So I think that's the thing every single year that happens on Strictly, that it always surprises you. The people that you think are going to do well don't, and the people who you perhaps don't expect anything from, like Chris Ramsey, who, like he said, he thought he wouldn't make it past week two. I didn't really think he'd make it past week two, and yet he made the semi-final. It's such an achievement.
He was one of the people as well that a lot of people were like, who's Chris Ramsey? Like, he's a comedian, but he's not the best known comedian. He's kind of, without sounding mean, like the Sean Walsh of this year, without being Sean Walsh. So it was interesting to see him do well. I am sad he's gone because I really do like Karen. I really wanted them to go all the way because I love her, and I feel like it's a shame she's been knocked out again because I think this is the best she's done since Mark Wright.
I can't check my stats right now, but I'm sure you're right. Yeah, I know. And their partnership was really fun to watch as well, actually. But I still think that, he was quite rough around the edges compared to the other three. And to make it that far is amazing. But I think maybe to be a finalist. I suppose the thing is, if we hadn't had Will Bailey pull out halfway through, Chris would have been in the final because we would have had four celebs, but now we've only got three. So I mean, he could take some comfort in that he probably would have made the final if things had been a little bit different.
I did feel bad because he went wrong in his Venus Waltz. It wasn't his night. And he got 4 from Craig.
I was shocked. I was really shocked by that, actually. You just think, OK, Craig, you didn't like it. But a 4 in the semi-final, it was a bit too much. It was kind of kicking him when he was down. Like he knew he wasn't going to do very well and he was probably going to end the night at the bottom of the leaderboard. So dishing out a 4, it just felt unnecessary. But Rumba, I remember when we got the email earlier in the week saying what the celebs were going to be doing in the semi-final, and I saw the name Chris Ramsey and Rumba next to each other, and I just thought, oh no.
I just feel it's so savage for him to get that dance now because you know that like this is when he has to pull out the stops. He needed something funny, and he got 2 dancers that aren't known for their like comedic tricks or anything like that.
Not at all. And I think again, if he'd have had a different dance this week, maybe things would have been different. But that's always the hand that's dealt on Strictly. It is what dance you get in what week. And I think Alex Scott sort of befell that fate the week before. Actually, she had bad song, bad dance, and it meant that she went home. So it really does depend so much on what they're dealt. But it'll be interesting to know a bit more about how they actually dish them out.
Yeah, I mean, I've been meaning to ask, but sorry, I've been busy. So I haven't done that.
Next year.
did kind of feel sad for Karim because this was his second time in the dance-off, despite him being second on the leaderboard. And he is so good, but he's just not getting backing. Why do you think that is?
I think it is because he's so good.
Yeah.
That is the problem. And again, like, we were saying with Chris, people love seeing that journey. Karim just hasn't had one, actually. And I think, him and Kelvin are so equally matched in their ability, in my opinion anyway. But I think Kelvin doesn't come across like, I know he's an actor, but he doesn't come across like, oh, I've been to stage school and I've got this dance training, And Karim, he's spoken a little bit about how he went to theatre school, but you can also just see in his performances, like the couples routine that him and Amy did, where he was doing all the kind of Billy Elliot stuff. You just think, God, that is... You feel like he has sort of learnt that somewhere at some point. And I think people do get a bit turned off by that, where they think, well, you're so good. And also, you're so good, you don't need my vote. That's another problem where people think you're safe. But it is interesting. He's now been in the bottom 2 twice. And the only winner to ever have done that before was Oreya Duba. So it can happen. It can happen that you can be in the bottom 2 and win. It's just very unlikely because it's only happened once before.
I mean, I agree with you because, like, he does do those kind of like flicks and kicks. That's kind of his trademark. But because we've seen that from day one, when I see it now, I'm like, for God's sake. Like, if I'm honest, I'm a bit tired of it. Like, I understand.
So you've answered your own question there.
Yeah, I am a bit bored of him. No, but his Argentine tango was considered one of the most difficult in Strictly history, and it was a good dance. So I do feel like Amy is pushing him, but whether... Like, because we know he's a good dancer, it's whether we care that he's being pushed, because it's kind of like, we know.
And I think I was a little bit, I have to say, underwhelmed by his Argentine tango, just because I was really expecting like one of the sort of iconic performances of Strictly history where you'd go, right, I have to watch this over and over again on YouTube. It's going to be absolutely phenomenal. And actually, it was really good, but it just didn't have that blow you away, absolute stunning. Craig gave it an 8. And I think that was kind of fair enough, really. So I think Kelvin actually did better this week than Karim. But I think when it comes to the final, it's so, again, dependent on what you do on the night and the dance that you do. And actually, if Kelvin does that samba that he did in week 1 in the final, which is what Craig Revel-Horwood said, actually, a couple of weeks ago. He said, if Kelvin performs that in the final, he could well win. So, we're going to have to wait and see what they're going to do.
I mean, I don't know how I feel about Karim, because I do feel like he's like the Ashley Roberts of this series. Like, he probably should win, but just there's something missing. That means that he won't. Again, like you said, I think it will depend on what he's given on the night. Like, if he does his jive that he did last week, that was amazing. It was so good. It got the first 40 of the series. So maybe if he pulled that out of the bag again. But it's whether we'd care, that's the thing. Or maybe it's just me being savage again, but I just kind of think, I don't know if I'm just over it by now. Yeah,
it might be that he's just... I suppose he's a very predictable winner, I think, because he's been so strong from week 1. And interestingly, I think someone like Emma Barton, I mean, she could win because she hasn't been in the dance-off.
No, she hasn't.
At all, actually. Again, people love Anton, and to see Anton win might maybe make him retire. Maybe that's a reason to vote for them. I don't know. But I think that it's to have someone like her who perhaps doesn't score as well and yet win, again, that's a pattern we've seen over and over again. Stacey Dooley, she was bottom of the leaderboard last year and yet she won. It's so hard to judge what public opinion is when they don't release like voting stats or anything like that, so we don't really know what people are or who people are voting for, other than just who's been out of the bottom 2, and the only 2 now are Emma and Kelvin, so you'd think they're probably going to be a 2-horse race between those 2, because it is all down to people's votes in the final. It's got nothing to do with the judges. So, we'll have to wait and see.
Moving on to Kelvin, which is obviously my favourite part every week, talk about Kelvin. He topped the leaderboard. He finally got his first 40. Do you think it's a bit long overdue?
I don't know. I do think he's had some incredible routines over the weeks, but and actually his Mary Poppins was it movies week? I thought it was a really, really good, actually. Probably again not deserving of a 40, but I think it's giving 40s out in the semi-final feels about the right time, because when you're getting them in sort of week 6, 7, 8, there is absolutely nowhere to go after that. So I think his quick step, the Ladies Tramp, it was really great. It was deserving of a 40, and I think he topped the leaderboard actually this week, didn't he? But Kelvin, for me, he's been really strong throughout. Obviously, again, one of those like Karim who was incredible week 1. So it's difficult. It's difficult to kind of I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of getting more and more team Emma Barton, to be honest, as the weeks go on, just because I feel like she's such the underdog now. Whereas Kelvin and Corinne for me have always just been sort of the winners from week one.
Yeah, I mean, with Kelvin, like his quick step was amazing, and it was nice for him to get a 40 on something that wasn't Latin.
Yeah,
I thought it was really interesting because it was so. I mean, you were used to his hips, and we're used to that kind of like, you know, the sexiness of Kelvin. So it was good to see him get a 40 for a dance that was so different to what we expected him to.
But then he did put on that sheer top for the Paso Doble, and wasn't missing the sexiness this week.
I don't know whether he'll play up to that. I agree with you. I think he should 100% redo that samba. If he doesn't do it, that is criminal, because that is what set him apart from everyone else from week one. It was amazing. I still watch it even now, which I know is sad. But it's one of those, for me, it was one of those moments that was just, you know, for me, it's one of the best moments of the series, really.
Yeah, to be honest, after this, I'm going to go back and watch it now we're talking about it. And that's, I think, again, to go back to Karim quickly, that's what I wanted from his Argentine tango. I wanted that, like, watchability, and I didn't have it. And I think you're right. If he does that samba, it will be so much better now as well. That's what's so exciting, when you think, God, he was phenomenal in week one, but after kind of 3-4 months of dance training, just how good can it be? So, yeah, let's just pray for Kelvin samba, and hopefully it will come true.
With Kelvin, like, obviously, if he was to win, Oti would win. I would like to see her win more than I'd like to see Anton win. Does that make me sound evil? It's because I love Oti. I think she's such good value. I think she's brilliant. She's amazing what she does. Her Latin is obviously incredible. She's like a 5-time Latin champion. But like the way she brings that out of her dancers, I think she's long overdue a win, if I'm honest.
She is one of the strongest, if not the strongest, professional dancers on the show. And you're right, she really deserves to win. Especially, you know, look down the year, she had like Danny Mack, who she was absolutely incredible with. They didn't win. She's had kind of a lot of, and she had bad luck this year. You know, she wasn't even meant to be with Kelvin. And obviously, she was sort of thinking she was going to be out of the show right in September. So I think it'd be an incredible story again for him to come in so late and then do so well. But you think, the 3 finalists. I mean, we've got Anton, Oti, and Amy, who actually are all kind of fan favourites, I would say, in their own different way. So it'll be interesting to see where the vote goes for them as well, because people love Amy as well, and I love Amy. I think she's fantastic. But as I say, maybe if Anton wins, maybe he'll think he's done Strictly now.
I mean, kind of on that.
I'm being savage now.
No, it's fine. Like, it's welcomed here. It's with Kelvin, what, like you kind of touched upon this earlier, he has had his own journey in a way. Yes, he's been phenomenal throughout, but it's the fact that, like you said, he was never even meant to be in this series.
I think he had 2 hours to decide, like, are you in or are you out? And it was a massive roller coaster to begin with. So it was, again, sort of thinking of the underdog and the Strictly story, and he's got a great journey and a great story there.
I don't know whether he will be the most successful winner, if that makes sense, because I feel like this has really given him such a huge boost, because before he was just that guy from Emmerdale, oh, it's a sexy farmer, oh, okay. And now he's like Kelvin Fletcher, do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I think he'll be a winner, but I don't know whether his profile will be as boosted as much as Karim's would be.
I feel like that's the thing. Karim is the Strictly winner this year, I think. He's again sort of the Stacey Dooley, where he's going to go on to present the one show and then probably be on the West End because he can sing and dance, and he's going to have a lot to get out of this. And again, I think right at the beginning, that is kind of one of the reasons why he wanted to do the show, to up his profile, and up it he has. And he's gone from kind of CBBC presenter who very few people had heard of, if anyone really, apart from kids. And now he's a household name, and that is the power of Strictly. And that's why, again, every year people complain about the names, and yet every December there's suddenly, you know, you can walk out into the street and say Karim and everyone will know who you're talking about.
Do you think the casting team was right? Because I know at the very start of the series we did look at the casting. We were kind of like, over some of the names, Karim probably being one of them. Do you think that this has actually like paid off? Because I feel like we said, we complain every year, but I do feel they have got quite a good cast this year.
Yeah, I think it's hard. I think it's that conversation it's a cyclical conversation that you do have every year, and it will happen in 2020. We'll look at the names announced in September and go, oh, haven't heard of any of them, this is going to be rubbish. And then come December we'll be going, oh, it's been quite good this series. And I think it's just the journey of the show. That's just what happens. I think they've sort of found, unlike something like I'm a Celeb, who they kind of go for, like Caitlyn Jenner's, you know, they go for bigger names, and that's their selling point. I think Strictly's found its own weird niche, where actually they get a couple of people like James Cracknell, Annika Rice, who sort of the older viewers will be familiar with, but actually cast a lot of people, very unknown people, like Will Bailey and Alex Scott, actually, even a year ago. She wasn't a household name. And actually you just sort of create stars, really, from the show.
Do you think we'll see more like CBBC, I can't even speak, CBBC presenters like Karim and like Saffron, again, a YouTuber who did well, not as well as Joe Sugg, but well, do you think that is the right direction to go down?
Yeah, well, I think they always want that broad demographic of viewer, and the thing is to bring in, we know kids aren't watching as much TV now as they have done because of YouTube and everything, to be able to get that younger viewership in of YouTube stars, CBBC or even CBeebies, that is kind of the way to go, really, to keep the show as big as it is and to keep bringing brand new viewers to it who will probably then hopefully stay with it for the next 10 years. It's been on 15 years now. I know. I can't believe it.
Emma Barton is our final finalist. I know we've touched upon her, but how do you think she will fare? Because I do want her to do well, but at the same time, there has been better dancers in the competition.
She's not the strongest.
Yeah,
I think that's the thing. She just isn't the strongest, and there's no really getting around that. I mean, just from the performances and also the scores, she isn't as good as Karim and Kelvin. I don't think there's sort of any beating around the bush when it comes to that. However, she's incredibly likeable, and again, her relationship with Anton comes across well, and obviously they take everything on the chin and are quite light-hearted about the whole thing. And again, EastEnders stars generally do really well on the show. Yeah, exactly. Got a big fan base. So I think she might... I would still be surprised if she won, but equally I could see it happening, if that makes any sense.
It's kind of like covering I'm a Celeb as well. It's kind of showing me that you can never doubt the power of the soap star, because things like, so Andy Wyman and Jacqueline Joss are in the final, two soap stars compared to Caitlyn Jenner, who is like a huge reality Goliath.
And what did Andy say? It was like, I've got 50,000 Twitter followers and Caitlyn's got 10 million or something. It's true. It doesn't really count for much.
Yeah, exactly.
At the end of the day.
So it does show that, soap stars and soap fans are so loyal that they may just vote for Emma because she is honey from EastEnders.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think she's just had, out of the three of them, that journey the most, I'd say, in the show. And she's just got stronger and stronger. And I think that, like we were saying before, really, it's not always the best dancer that wins Strictly, and she isn't the best dancer. So she could well win Strictly, which sounds a bit mad when you say it out loud, but that is how it goes.
I mean, that's the thing, though. That's the nice thing that, yes, it's like a dance contest, but also it's a personality one.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. I think that's why Karim may lose out, because we haven't really got to see a side to him that we've seen with like Kelvin and Emma. Like Kelvin seems so nice and so kind of like, shy about being the whole sex symbol. Emma's funny and kind of can laugh off the whole thing. Whilst Karim doesn't really strike either of those points for me.
I know what you mean. I wonder if it's because Karim is a TV presenter and he's quite on all the time, if that makes any sense. It's not a bad thing, but he's just quite sort of CBBC, like, hi guys, all of that. Yeah. And I wonder if maybe that's not coming across as maybe as authentically as maybe Kelvin and Emma, who seem more, they're not being their Emmerdale or EastEnders characters, that maybe they're being a bit more themselves, or viewers think they're being a bit more themselves. I'm not sure. It's such a weird alchemy when it comes to Strictly and who people are voting for and why they're voting for them. Like you say, is it because she's in EastEnders? Is it because people like Anton? Like, it's so hard to pin down the reasons, but I still think that out of everyone this series, we've probably got the three strongest in the final.
Really?
Well... I think Michelle kind of Michelle Visage, she kind of plateaued for me.
Yeah.
And I can't really forgive the Couple's Choice Vogue performance, just because I know, again, she's spoken a lot about that she doesn't regret doing it and the reasons for doing it. But for me, there's just no dancing in it. And I felt that it was a bit of a strange decision. And she was really good, but I just, again, that Strictly journey didn't really happen as much.
I'm going to ask you, who do you think is going to win? Gut instinct, what's your answer?
Gut instinct is Kelvin.
Oh, well, we'll see, yeah. I'm with you. I'm hoping it's Kelvin, but again, this year's been so unpredictable. Yeah. So much has happened that hasn't usually happened. There's been 2 eliminations, one before a competition, one midway through with Will Bailey.
Yep.
I just feel like for Emma to win would be right for this series, because it's been a series that's been so unpredictable. It needs to have an unpredictable ending.
And Anton would win.
Yeah, I mean, he'd get his Glitterball at long last. But with this, interestingly, with what you're saying, with Karim, with Kelvin and Emma, like you said, people know them for their soap parts, and now they get a chance to not play a part. I remember Catherine Tilsley saying, this is so scary because I'm myself.
Yeah.
Why do you think that Karim isn't his self in such the same way? Because I know you said he's a TV presenter, he's always on, but...
I kind of think that is what I suppose it's because from such a young age as well he's been in front of the camera. I wonder if it's just the camera. He's just knows he's on camera and in front of the camera and he's talking to viewers. And I wonder if sometimes it's kind of like a thing where you're trying to come across so well that actually then it gets a little bit false, if that makes any sense. Yeah. And I haven't felt that from him. However, I can see how that would come across, if that makes any sense. So I think that could be a reason why, again, people haven't been voting for him as much, and just because he's so good. I think people, especially in this country, you know, we do like the underdog. That's the problem. Like, if you are that good, people probably won't vote for you. And like, you know, it's happened so many, like you say about Ashley Roberts, or even Faye last year as well. Was she the year before? I just think when you're that good, people think, oh, you don't need the vote, and you haven't had a journey. And it kind of puts people off.
Yeah, which would be a shame. But again, like I said, Strictly, anything can happen this year.
Anything can happen, and it probably will.
So what has been your overall highlight of this series? We've had 12 weeks. We're coming to week 13 of dances. It's been a very, very long series for me. How have you found it?
I think there have been lots of highlights. I've absolutely loved some of the stuff that hasn't been to do with the celebrities, like Johanna's and Graziano's paired routine. That sent everybody wild. Also, Craig Revel-Horwood in drag for Hello Dolly the other week was absolutely brilliant. Although, again, on the same line, probably a low has been Bruno Tonioli singing Can't Take My Eyes Off of You.
That was... Why? Why did that happen?
I don't know why that happened, because I went straight online to see, has he got an album out? Why is this happening? I don't think he does have an album out for Christmas. So I don't know why it happened. I don't want to see it again or hear it again for that matter.
Because they said he was doing a performance and I assumed it'd be a dance. And then he just started singing and I was like, is this a joke?
I think everyone hoped it'd be a dance. But then Anton's sung as well. I don't know if that was this series, but it's so scarred in my memory that I remember it happening. But in terms of the celebrities and the dances and the routines, again, we've said it before, so I'll just quickly skip over it. But Kelvin and Oti's Week 1 Samba, absolutely amazing. Their Charleston in Movie Week as well, and his Jailhouse Rock Jive, they've all been massive highlights. But I have to say, I've kind of, in a perverse way, enjoyed Alex Scott and Kevin's Ghostbusters street commercial in Halloween, just for the sheer fact that it was put together in half an hour, and you could see in the VTs like Neil talking to the camera while Kevin is learning it in the background, and I just think the fact that both of them even got through it was an achievement. And yes, it was very rough around the edges, especially on Kevin's part, but I think that was just an unexpected and just really good dance and moment.
I mean, did you see on It Takes Two when it was cut without the music and it's just Alex be like, jump now, roll over? Just like, I mean, for her, that was incredible that she got through it. Like you said, like, if that had been me, I would be like, oh, I'm not doing it this week, can I have a bye? Because like, I don't know how they got through it, but...
It's that sportswoman mentality, just able to power on through. But no, I thought that was amazing, actually. And on the same track as Alex, she's given me a lot of highlights this year, actually, Alex. But the Black Ball Beyonce
I love that
routine,
I love that.
That's one I went back to YouTube and watched again and again because I just thought it was fantastic. For me, that's always the mark of when a dance really stands out, when you have to watch it again.
When you have to watch it again and you remember it.
Exactly.
Like, I still remember that Pulp Fiction one from a few years ago.
Yeah, Jane McGuinness.
Yeah, so that's why, like Kelvin, I know we've talked about this every single week, but Kelvin, for me, that's why he's like one of my highlights just generally, because he's been so good. Another dance that I really enjoyed, I kind of felt in two minds about it at the time, but since I've watched it back, I've realised I'm just cold. But the Karim Couple's Choice that he did, I feel like that actually was amazing. Like I've seen that again since before. I know I kind of slated it in the podcast, but it was actually like really lovely to watch. Like I feel like that was something you needed to watch a few times to really get, maybe, because if you just kind of watched it superficially, you didn't really get the message and stuff.
No, that was amazing. And actually Will Bailey's Couple's Choice as well, on a similar way. It was kind of as emotional and all that kind of stuff, and that felt like a real moment as well, as did him unfortunately having to pull out of the competition. That was probably a low, but again, it's been an eventful series.
I mean, Dev's Couple's Choice, actually, now I come to think of it, it was very early on. It was like week 3, and that marked him out as a contender, and then he went out the next week.
I know. Well, again, it's like what dance you get in what week. The thing is with Couple's Choice, I'm conflicted over it, because I absolutely love it in some instances, and in others, I'll say Chris and Karen's Let's Get Ready to Rumba, I really didn't like it. I just didn't like it, and I think it was really overmarked. And I don't know, I just really took against it for some reason. So I think when a Couple's Choice is done well, it does really well, and it can be such a moment and so amazing. But when it misses the mark, it just feels a bit clunky.
Yeah, I mean, they are quite divisive. Like, they do tend to mark quite well because it's the couple's choice. And I think, like you said before on the podcast, it's hard to assess it when it's not classical, ballroom or Latin. But I really disagree with you, Chris and Karen's on this. I loved it so much because I thought it was fun, and I thought it was just his personality.
I hate fun. I don't want to see fun on my telly.
What else did I enjoy? I think Motzi as well, for me, has made this series a lot better. Like, there was a lot of talk at the beginning of the series, like, oh, she's OT's sister, oh, she's going to be biased, even though she has marked her before and worked with her before. But I feel like she's the perfect addition to the show. I said this at the beginning of the series. She's been consistently funny, vibrant. She's made a few comments that have been picked up, like when she said to Neil...
Yes.
About like, oh, it's like someone's had an affair. Yeah. She's like, but she's been like funny, and she's next to Craig, and Craig can be quite sour sometimes. And so she's the perfect antidote to that. She's kind of funny and light, and she just really brings kind of like a warmth to Strictly that I don't think Darcy Bustle necessarily did. Sorry, Darcy.
I totally agree with you, actually. Yeah. And I think, again, like weeks 1 and 2, I was kind of finding my feet with her, thinking, oh, what's she about, and what's her kind of role on the panel going to be, and blah, blah, blah. But really quickly, she bedded in, and I completely agree that I really enjoy watching her now on the panel, actually. And I think she's just been really, really fair, really funny, saying some really interesting comments as well. And again, some unexpected laughs, which I don't think even she was thinking she was being funny, but she's very funny. And I just think, she's been brilliant this series, actually, and I really hope she's kind of back next year and next year. So fingers crossed.
For me, she did make it. I think sometimes when weeks were like a bit slower, or when it was a bit of a longer stretch, she did kind of always bring kind of like fire and happiness and stuff. So I think she is a really good addition. Yeah, I don't know whether Craig will be coming back. I don't know if he's towards the end of his lifespan now in terms of judge. Like, he is brilliant, and it wouldn't be Strictly without him. But there has been times this series where I'm just like, what are you doing? Like with the marks and stuff. Yeah, I know what you mean, but I will defend Craig till the end. I'll lay down my life for Craig. I just feel like I think he's a panto villain, obviously. And I know, like, especially this week, giving, Chris a 4 for his rumba is harsh, to say the least. Yeah. But I think you really do need that panto baddie villain. And I know, again, everyone is replaceable. I never thought Len could be replaced. Yeah, but, same. And I still miss him sometimes. But I think, like, to lose Craig would be bad. For the show, to be honest. You do need someone to bring that kind of, not Simon Cowell-esque nastiness, but that kind of like biting commentary. Yeah, and I think when it started, actually, he was more Simon Cowell-esque, in that it was more that he meant it, and it was all very serious and whatever. Yeah. And now I think it's far more softened around the edges, and you do see him smile and laugh, and you know that he's not being serious, to be honest. And even when he's doing his really cruel stares or whatever, it's all in good fun, and I think it just brings another element to Strictly that would be missing without him, especially with just if you had Bruno, Shirley and Motzi just like being so like standing up and clapping every 2 minutes for everything. You think, you need a bit of an antidote to that. God, I was actually laughing when I was watching it back when Calvin finishes Quick Step and like everyone was standing up and screaming, Shirley was like screaming, and it just cut to Craig looking so unhappy. Yeah, I love his it's just his acting. I just think it's I don't know, it all of Strictly is a panto, to be honest, and you do need the pantomime villain, and he does that job very well. I mean, he has been criticised this series, and I do understand people being annoyed about the marks and the scores not necessarily always being consistent, but at the same time, I agree with you. If he was to leave Strictly, I mean, he's been signed for another year, but if he was to leave, then I feel like the show would lose some of its sparkle. Yeah, it would, and it would just lose. I mean, I think the thing is, I understand that panels need a refresh and all that kind of thing, but you don't want to fall down the X Factor route of revamp after new face to the point where it's unrecognisable. And I think they're really lucky that they've still got 2 original judges, to be honest, in Craig and Bruno. That's what's really nice about Strictly. There's not that revolving door of like who's going to be on the panel this year. It's quite, that certainty is quite nice. Yeah, and for a Saturday night show. And I think that's increasingly what people enjoy, weirdly, with shows like I'm a Celebrity and Strictly. It's consistency. You know what you're going to get. You know who's presenting it, and you know the format. And actually, X Factor the band. I mean, you have all these like weird spin-offs and these weird format changes, and people just fall out of love with it. So actually keeping it as samey as possible
seems on the face of it a bit boring, but actually it's kind of what people want at the end of the day.
I feel like in an age of such uncertainty at the moment, it's so nice to be able to know on Saturday at 6 o'clock there'll be Strictly and there'll be Craig. Like,
that's true. Yeah, don't worry about Brexit because Craig's here. So yeah.
That's all we've got time for on this week's Strictly Between Us. A big thank you to Francis.
Thank you.
And we'll be back next Monday with more Strictly gossip. See you then.